Full of what?
No, but he referred me to, I don't want to say his name in this context. So he's a very wise man. Anyway, who I respect immensely. So he told me to go to Rabbi Pinto because Rabbi Pinto is the real thing. Could be Rabbi Pinto is the real thing. But my experience with Rabbi Pinto was very unfulfilling. But there's a twist at the end. You'll hear the twist. What happened was, I came in, here I was starting to learn to teach Hashin Yerushalmi. And I'm into Reb Tzadok, I dabble in Reb Tzadok and Chasidus, which is connected to Kabbalah, in a meaningful way. So I want to get a bracha from this fellow that I should be zochet to be marbitz Torah in Yerushalmi, to teach Yerushalmi, and I should be zochet to understand esoteric things, and maybe to hear an esoteric concept from him or two, something Kabbalistic, something mystical. I go in, and he starts giving me brachas for parnasa, for kids, all those things, which I wasn't, what? No, it wasn't, what?
I just remember you did remember saying this summer.
So he gave me all these brachas for the material things, which obviously most people come to ask him for. And I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was looking for from him. Anyway, so we kept talking at different wavelengths for a few minutes. I was on this wavelength here, this and whatever it was. And finally, at some point, he realized that he's not dealing with a normal person here. So he tells me some strange words, which was not particularly Kabbalistic. And then at the end, I don't remember this before or after the vort, he says, "You have to move." So I was taken aback, and
this is where, Israel?
No, it was in Chicago. You have to move. So I was taken aback, obviously, and he saw he was dealing with a skeptic. So he said, "Well, you don't have to move literally. You can move by, if your wife wants to make some sort of what's the word? No, fixing the house." Renovation in the house. So they make a renovation, move a closet from one place to the other, and it's as if you have moved. Okay? So I found that very strange, and again, we basically parted the company.
Did you renovate?
What?
Move.
I don't remember if I renovated, but I did. Not as a result of this, but shortly thereafter, I did move to New York. So the question is, who knows? Yeah. So, but that's the thing about the Kabbalists which go around today. The Kabbalists go around today are not Mekubalim who are going to teach you the esoteric secrets of the Torah. They're like Rebbes. People are coming to them to get brachas, right? Not to actually learn from them. So for us Litvaks, that's not fulfilling. Certainly for Yekas, it's not fulfilling. So Litvaks want higher thought, and Yekas want practical things. So both sides of my personality don't jive with this Kabbalist mentality. So it doesn't work. Sephardim fall for it, yeah.
They're not there to So they're not there to teach you esoteric, Kabbalistic types of things, but they're there to really just give you brachas on practical. What's the real difference between a Mekubal and just any regular Rebbe?
Yeah, it's not very different. There's much difference. No, a Mekubal is like a Rebbe without a man without a country. He's a Rebbe without Hasidim. Yeah. So an itinerant Rebbe who comes around and gives brachas. And some of them maybe that certainly doesn't hurt.
Fell from heaven.
Listen, at heart, I'm a very strong believer in tzaddikim. I'm finishing Yerushalmi next week for the second time. So I called up the Gabbai of the Ger Rebbe and asked because the Ger Rebbe, the father of this Ger Rebbe, is the one who instituted the Daf Yomi in Yerushalmi. So I asked the Gabbai to get me brachas for my daughter to get married, for my uncle to have refuah shlema, and for me to be matzliach in teaching Yerushalmi.
The Beis Yisrael?
The Beis Yisrael's successor was the one. The Beis Yisrael's successor was the one who introduced it. Beis Yisrael's younger brother, I forget what they called him. So he was the Rebbe in 1980 when they introduced the Yerushalmi, and now after he passed away, his brother became Rebbe, who was the youngest of the old Ger Rebbe's kids, and then they have after him the Rebbe of the Rebbe before, the son of the Rebbe before, is supposed to be quite a holy fellow, became Rebbe. What? I'm sorry, the nephew, right? Nephew. It's the nephew. I'm confused now.
Yeah.
Somehow or another works out. Anyway, he's a Ger Rebbe, whatever it is. So, and I got a bracha. So,
I was told.
what?
The website, family, lineages and so on.
Yeah. I didn't brush up for tonight on the Ger lineage.
I was told that Rav Yaakov Hillel has on Thursday nights many hours where they only allow certain people who are high stature. I guess they don't want morons to come to Shir, and they go Thursday night and they close the lights. I don't know why they close the lights. And
Spooky.
they learn for many hours.
Romantic.
Candlelight. I don't know why they do all this, but that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. It could be.
It could be. Yeah.
Speaking about spooky stuff, my brother always tells me that this food.
By the way, Yossi asked me to speak on a certain topic tonight, and again, Yossi's not here, but I did bring handouts for that topic.
Wow.
Yeah.
After this, I have
What?
a question.
Here, you know what? Why don't you give these out? Everybody's supposed to get.
Speak about agriculture.
What?
You gonna speak about agriculture?
No.
No.
After
It has. In the meantime, I might as well give them out.
I didn't finish.
Everybody should get 2
There was
pages.
one question that I had today after him.
Yeah.
Just 2 small questions. First small question.
They went past down.
If a person has the opportunity to learn Torah, or he has the opportunity to read the segulas that they have, with different things, what should he rather do?
What do you mean? What's the question?
I did a segula for Parnasa, right?
Yeah.
The person might need Parnasa in the future, right?
Yeah.
And so you say this every day, and you have Parnasa, like there's a whole mimer you have to say. So you have, it's a segula. But he could also spend time learning Torah at that amount.
You know, I bet you a lot of people say these school lists and then buy lottery tickets. And for some reason, we don't see so many from Jews winning the lottery.
Some guy just won the lottery.
Yeah.
Told over it.
He was?
Yeah.
So, I'm very skeptical about the school list.
So you think you should learn Torah more?
Yes, of course you learn Torah more.
They caught it.
Yes.
Why aren't you skeptical about?
The fact is, he was killed for lottery ticket. People
What?
for greed.
Why aren't you skeptical about so they can give him back?
Why am I not skeptical about that? Because the school lists are not the school lists are not given by somebody. They are you reciting this in the hope of getting something. So it's like a tefillah, but not as good as a tefillah, because you're not relying on God. You're relying on the magic which is in the recitation of this statement, whatever it is. So it's like a tefillah, but less than a tefillah, right? Whereas a tzaddik, he has tzaddik Baruch Hu Mekayim. He perhaps has the capacity to actually, manipulate the shefa from Shamayim and direct it to you. I'm not saying nowadays they do, but what does it hurt?
I was just thinking.
He asked me a question about whether if it's an if-or question, right? If doing a skula or learning Torah, right? It doesn't take much time to get a bracha from the Ger Rebbe. So call me no, I called the Gabbai. The Gabbai went in. Yeah.
No, it's not you can call.
What?
You call a week in advance.
Shidduch for my daughter, and unfortunately for my uncle, and Hatzlacha in learning and teaching Torah for myself. No, first for myself.
Not being famous, come on.
Yes.
Rabbi, with the Rosh Hashanah, some gadol that was learning while Shabbos Chaim came in and read the story, and Shabbos Chaim came visit the yeshiva, and the gadol was sitting and learning. And then the Chavetz Chaim heard about it and said, "Oh, this person, whoever is sitting and learning, is going to be becoming a big gadol." Have you heard this story?
It's very vague.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the point of the story is.
Well, because then I would think it'd be better to sit and learn, go see the Chavetz Chaim, which would be color.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. There's the famous story, which is not about Chavetz Chaim, but is about the Kelm Yeshiva. And Kelm Yeshiva, people absolutely would not raise their heads during Seder to look at anybody who went to the Beis Medrash. Think of that in our generation where kids are constantly texting in the middle of Shir. Imagine that.
Games.
Yeah, games. So
At least it's not texting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes me feel like my daytime job. So
I'm working on my brain.
So nowadays, of course, there's something which is so beyond us. But the point is that in Kelm, there was an avodah not to look up when somebody came to the Beis Medrash, because in Kelm, the specific Musar avodah which they focused on was rigid arrangement of time, of space, of everything which a person does, allocated precisely and as much as perfectly to what one is supposed to be doing, or where one's supposed to be, or etc., or one's possessions, etc. So there was a famous story about some high government official who came into the Kelm Beis Medrash, and he was amazed because nobody looked up at him. Normally wherever he went, he may cut a fancy figure, and people would stare at him, but nobody looked up at him. They say in Kelm, if you left your raincoat in the coat room, you come back 20 years later, and it was exactly where you left it, because nobody would touch it, right?
Raincoat?
Doesn't have to. I don't know why they didn't have a lost and found back then, but they left it. They would be left in place, intact. In Kelm also, they had a seder every day for 5 minutes, a 5-minute seder, to show what the value of 5 minutes is, so that you should know what you can accomplish in 5 minutes. Every day is a 5-minute seder. What? I think probably, I assume they did Musar, but I don't know. Could be they did Tanakh, could be it was optional, I don't know. But I want to just tell you the flip side of this, once we're on the topic, is that I don't think I would have been able to tolerate Kelm. I don't think Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, if you read between the lines in his biography, went there and couldn't stand it. My hero, Rabbi Elliot Kaplan, went there, and I don't think he could stand it either, because you have to have a certain type of personality for this type of Musar, which is so highly and precisely structured and determined and planned. And those of us who are kind of quirky, I don't know, not Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Elliot Kaplan, but me, those of us who are quirky and eccentric, we don't fit into these molds so easily.
But that's not always good. It's not always good to be rigid. There's sometimes big issues of being too rigid. Like
that may be, but Kelm produced very great Gedolei Torah.
I'm not saying
very great Bali Avodah. That's why there are the yeshivas. I know, every teacher's own.
I had, my question was tonight on...
One at a time, we'll go around. Yeah?
Fine.
Go ahead, quick.
If somebody has a chance, Chas v'shalom, of living, but he's going to live in pain, but he can live 3 months.
Is this directly related to what we're talking about now?
Oh, I just...
They would rather die right now?
No.
Pain?
Wait. What did you want to ask about?
So you're never going to die?
So
do you get 3 months to live?
isn't it the idea to have like Reb Volbe writes in Ali Shur, like the man love Seder, like
Reb Volbe was a Talmud of Rebbe Rucham, who was a Talmud of the Alter from Kelm. There's a direct line there.
Isn't it, if a person,
Okay.
if a person's something like that, like I'm completely unstructured, whatever.
What?
Right.
So a person has to check. Could be those of us who are unstructured because we're lazy. Yeah. So the question is whether, that we could say about me and you, or at least me. But we're not going to say about Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, right? So
what would be by that? Why do you think?
So they went to Slobodka. Slobodka was very different. Slobodka was, the principle of Slobodka was in fact to allow tremendous leeway for each person to develop individually in his own way. Whatever it was, whether it was in Lomdis, in Halacha, in Musar, in Machshava, in other ways of serving Hashem by developing one's potential. So that was almost the antithesis of Kelm. In Kelm, it was very structured, and Slobodka was very highly unstructured. Yeah. They say whenever Rebbe Rucham came to visit the Alter from Slobodka, the Alter used to shout at him for hours. Obviously, Rebbe Rucham came back for more, so I guess he appreciated it. But because he didn't like his mahalach in chinuch. He didn't like his educational methodology.
So it's like the traditional school system as opposed to Montessori.
Maybe. I don't know if the traditional school system has anything positive to say about it. I wouldn't call it Kelm exactly.
I'm saying about the rigidity
and
like the very conformist.
Yes. But so there are 3 major schools of Musar, right? Kelm, Slobodka, and the Vardik. Right? Kelm was Seder. Because Slobodka was Gadlus Adam, developing one's potential. The Vardik was Shiflus, humility and devotion to devotion to the cause of spread of Novardok, which was to found yeshivas and spread Torah throughout Eastern Europe. What?
No Sephardim Muslim women?
No, the Sephardim didn't live in these countries.
What countries?
Lithuania, Poland.
Sephardim Muslim women.
No, there was no Sephardim Muslim movement.
At all?
For some reason, at the Sephardim, with all due respect to the Sephardim, for some reason, after the time of the Rishonim, we don't have any major thinkers in the Sephardi world.
The Ben Ish Chai, no?
He wasn't a major thinker. He was a holy man. He wasn't a major thinker. He was a holy man. Yeah. He wasn't a major thinker.
Did he write the whole encyclopedia of books?
No. He wrote mostly about schools.
No, but he also wrote the whole...
Michal was Italian.
What about the Ari?
Ari was Ashkenazi.
He was Sephardim Minchag.
Yeah, he adopted Sephardim Minhag. I'm not saying Sephardim are not better than Ashkenazim. Sephardim can be better than Ashkenazim. Just that in terms of thinkers, there weren't any great thinkers after the Rishonim.
I don't think anyone's better.
He did travel to Europe, and the whole biographies of all the tzaddikim that he met in Europe.
The Chida.
Yes.
Yeah, he wrote about because he used to go around collecting money. He went to my ancestral hometown, Beshofen, and he writes that there are a bunch of misers. They barely gave him any money, and this is my ancestors, right? They barely gave him any money, and not only that, the town was supposed to provide some transportation from that town to the next town, and they didn't give him a really nice wagon. They gave him some sort of, broken down thing. The Chidah. This is my legacy. He wrote a diary. I don't know if he meant it for publication.
He
was his way.
The approaches to Musar, I don't understand. I mean, I would think that each one would value the other approach as well, and they would all implement all three types of things at the same time. Is there something wrong with either order, humility, or developing one's potential? They seem like you want to do all three.
No, but the yeshivas, which put an emphasis... See, nowadays, all yeshivas are more or less the same. Right? There is no difference between yeshivas. Every yeshiva resembles other yeshivas, except in very slight nuances. Right? And like...
I don't think we're so similar to
sorry?
I don't think we're so similar to Lakeland.
We're our samech. We're different. Okay, but I'm saying, well, if you go to yeshivas, all right-wing yeshivas are very similar, all left-wing yeshivas are very similar. There's no difference in derech. Usually, there's some which are like on the lunatic fringe, like Karlabachian yeshivas and Breslov yeshivas, and then there are, but more or less there's it's a homogeneous group. So, were we to have real Musar yeshivas, which we don't, then you would have different institutions which appeal to the different people, because each one has its derech by which it attempts to develop the personalities of its students, and each one's going to appeal to different people.
So my question is like, if one focuses more on humility, would they ignore developing potential and order?
It was far less. Yeah, it was far. No, as a matter of fact, if you work on humility, then order very often is antithetical to humility, because if in Kelm, you would not go if you with a spot on your suit, right? That would be antithetical to the proper order. Where Rav Dessler, who was married to the Alta from Kelm's granddaughter, when he moved to Bnei Brak, it was very hot in Bnei Brak. So he came from Gateshead, where it's very cold. So he took off his jacket once to sit and learn. So his wife said, the father never took off the jackets while he was learning. Or the kapota. What? I know. Rav Dessler promptly put his kapota back on. So,
I'm asking. I don't know.
no, he was Lithuanian.
I think there was a very
Anyway,
good point made.
what's that?
Did not experience the heat.
Yes, but Rav Dessler obviously did not feel that answer was the right answer to give at that point in time for many reasons. Anyway, but the point is that in Nevada, of course, if you're in Kelm, you would cite the Chazal, which says, Kol Talmid Chacham shnimtza revav al pigdo. If a Talmid Chacham has wax drippings, or fat drippings actually, on his garment, chayav misa, he's liable to death because of chilul Hashem. So in the Barak they would say, if Talmud Chacham has only one revav al bigdo chayav misa, because it's not enough to have only one. In order to be humble, it's not enough to just have one fat spot. You have to have lots of fat spots. So obviously this is an exaggerated example, but cleanliness, order, and precision sometimes are the antithesis of humility. They also sometimes the antithesis of genius. So each one is going to have appeal to a different type of person.
The divorce and act, does it fall in one of these categories? Or?
No yeshivas do anymore.
Who said?
No yeshivas.
Who said you get a death?
I thought you said that there are still.
It's not the death penalty. You don't get. It's a what's the word you're looking for? A parable, a metaphor. Thank you. It's a metaphor. It's not literal. We don't chop off your head if you have fat stain on it. It's not halacha. It's not halacha. Okay, but it's not halacha.
What is it?
What?
What is it then?
It is the proper thing, the proper way for one to go with itself.
If Rabbi Wadi wore a shirt that has this big fat stain on it, he won't be high Nisa Midish.
No. Yes.
Question.
I tell you the coolest thing. When I was learning Neri Yisrael, so once Rabbi Vadia came to visit Neri Yisrael, it was back in the 80s. So the night before that, he came in and gave a shir at night. He was in his robes, those cool robes which you get to wear if you're the Sephardi chief rabbi. You gotta love those. I wish I could wear them, but that's one thing I won't ever get to do. But
Why not?
you gotta be Sephardi in order to do it. Yes. You gotta have that, turban. That's very cool. It's cool. What? So important, yes. So anyway, so I don't remember what he said, but he gave a tremendous power shir. It was really regal. In the morning when he came to davening, he came in a black sweater. He had a tie, black sweater.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Rabbi Vadia.
How old was he? He was like a
60 something, probably 50 or 60s, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry for getting off topic, but I really thought it was open.
That's okay. It's okay. I understood that. Yeah. No, he's not getting off topic. He says no.
Could you just give me an example how?
I didn't have. This is not what I intended to speak about tonight. Obviously.
How did Karen guys used to date, and the other
They all had problems dating. You should know. You should know all the yeshiva bachrim in Lithuania had tremendous problems dating because none of the girls wanted to marry yeshiva bachrim.
Why? What? Why?
Because the girls in Lithuania were mostly much more secularized than the boys. The girls there was until relatively recently, which means the late 1920s, there was no such thing as Beis Yaakov, and the girls were highly educated in either secular school, either in public schools, in government schools, or in Zionist, non-Orthodox Jewish schools. So therefore, they looked askance. They looked negatively at these guys who were just learning Torah. They didn't want to marry them. So therefore, that's why in Lithuania, yeshiva bachrim got married very late by today's standards, usually in their mid-30s, or early to mid-30s, yes. And early to mid 30s, and sorry.
Most was like 26, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying everybody, but 26 is also reasonably older. So the point is that it was very hard for them to find anybody to marry.
Is that why women?
I don't know if there's dafka different approaches. They got what they could.
I mean, like the guys. How did you go to date? Like we had several dots and their fruits and so on.
I don't know if they did, because Navardik was they weren't crazy, right? But I can tell you this, that I heard this once, and I don't know if it's true, but it's a cool story. There's a Rav in Baltimore, Rav Moshe Heinemann. They say that when he went out on dates, he would make sure that his tie was longer in the back than in front. Why? Like this. This was a test to see if the girl was makpid on this kind of thing. I don't think any of you should try this yourselves. But that was his, so he actually would do that. That would be an Navardiker thing to do.
I think he was just mistaken because the girl probably thought it is much more stylistic. He is very creative.
Yes, cutting edge.
Ballet.
Yeah, avant-garde, yes.
So
So I mean,
Yeah.
we just asked about the yeshiva, Rabbi Brog yeshiva. I hear it's focused on Musar.
What?
Rabbi Brog yeshiva, I hear it's Musar focused.
The Musar now, again, Musar today is even where, first of all, there's no such thing as a Musar-based focused yeshiva. I don't know Rabbi Brog's yeshiva personally from recently, but I know it from many years ago when I was in the Meir in Brooklyn. It's a yeshiva like any other yeshiva. So maybe they learn a little bit more Musar every day. Learning...
It's not different place.
Oh, it's not Brooklyn? Oh, in Cleveland. I don't know if it's Cleveland, but because it's obviously a very small yeshiva. Yeah, was it 5 guys?
No, it's 20.
20? I mean, Pell's has like small numbers. I thought you meant Rabbi Brog here. It was,
How would you like them to learn Musar?
no, it's not. Learning Musar is not the issue.
You want me to sleep in my tent?
You're missing the point.
What would you
That's not what learning Musar is. That's not what practicing Musar.
What about Musar?
Musar means that a person has a focal point on which all of their life is based, and that focal point is the development of character. There are no yeshivas, to the best of my knowledge today, who regard the focal point as development. At least, listen, even in times of Musar yeshivas, many people decided that the focus of character for them was learning Torah, right? And becoming Gedolei Torah. Not most of them. But
Why is that way?
because learning Torah for many people is the way they develop their character, right?
There must be some people out there who believe that that we need to focus on is Musar.
Sorry?
There must be some people out there who feel like the most important thing is Musar.
No.
Not anymore?
No. So now,
Why did it die off like that?
What?
Why did that idea die off so much?
I'll get to that in a second. But but there was a deliberate sense of mission and idealism in developing one's character and personality in a way which was going to make a person the more refined and lofty individual which the Torah envisions, whether the person got that far or not. Nowadays, the overwhelming majority of yeshiva bachrim have no plan at all. There's no focal point. There's no mahalach. That we just exist from day to day. And I'm talking about in our spiritual lives. We exist from day to day. We learn another blot, or another Reb Baruch Ber, whatever, however we're learning. But there's no developmental plan. I don't think any yeshiva bachrim have developmental. I shouldn't say anybody. A very small minority have developmental plans.
That's not just learning Torah. You change it yourself.
Does not.
The Gemara says.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No. Only if you learn Lishma.
So if you
If you don't learn Lishma, you know what it says Torah does to you?
Yeah, but I thought Balish.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't. If you don't get there, you're in big trouble.
Why?
What? Mitoch shlo lishma bo lishma means you better get to the lishma.
Oh man.
No, but I'm saying most of the bachrim in the Torah cleans you out from all.
No, not at all. No.
But every time you do a mitzvah, don't you get closer to Hashem?
No.
I don't know. That's what I was.
No. Ideally, yes. But in the Maisa, you should learn the Bilvavi Mishkan Evne. That's what he talks about. You know, it's a very popular book.
You weren't happy with that.
I'm learning it now with my guys in the yeshiva in MTA.
Really?
Yes.
You said you didn't like it, and then.
I'm comfortable with paradoxes. I don't have that problem. So
What does the
what?
What does the Gemara say if you don't learn the Shema?
Well, first of all, the Gemara says that if you don't learn Torah the right way, it becomes for you a drug of death, a poison. But it says, if we learn Shlo Lishma in order to compete with other people and show how much you're better than they are, then it's better that you would never have been born. And if you learn Torah only Shlo Lishma because you want to make money or be called a rabbi or something, right, then you're not as bad. But
just for like a shitta.
Right, but that for now you come perhaps Lishma. But until you come Lishma, the example I did with came across in Bilvavi this morning, which when I was doing Musar with my guys before Shir, was he says, if we accept that axiom as axiomatic that mitzvahs make you closer to Hashem, then somebody who's been putting on, let's say he says talis, but it's still the same thing. If you put on tefillin every day for years, so that should mean that every day you feel a little bit higher in putting on tefillin than the day before, because you must have gotten more dveikus from the mitzvah than the day before, right? Do you feel that?
No, because
no. Does anybody here feel that?
No, because he's not.
If you miss a day, you feel further.
What?
If you miss a day, you'll feel further.
That's not the point.
Well, it is the point.
You would feel further. You'd feel guilty.
You feel further.
You'd feel further.
Yeah, sure.
If you missed a day.
Yeah, I feel bad.
I don't know. I feel guilty. I don't know about that.
Right. You're not doing it right.
Oh, not doing it right. What's right?
You have to get excited when you do the mitzvah.
What do you mean? I get excited. How many people? Okay, so then we might as well not put on film, right? Because everybody comes in schlepping in to Minyan half asleep. They ain't put on film with any sense of excitement.
I think the mistake lies there in different.
The only people put on film with sense of excitement are Baalei Tshuva very early in the process, before they learn that they're not supposed to be excited about doing mitzvahs.
But that's not called. That's not called. I saw the Muslim say, but that's not called being excited. Why is that not called being excited? It's not called being excited because the first few times, like about mitzvah, he's excited, but after a while, you get through the mode. So that's not called being excited.
Okay, I'm asking, so that's why mitzvahs don't have that impact on us. Yeah. And Torah either.
Do something lishma to do it for John's sake?
No.
It's not?
That's only one definition of lishma.
Okay, so I was about to challenge that because I don't think it makes sense. But
I'm sorry?
I was going to challenge that definition because I don't think it makes sense. But what do you think lishma means? What does it mean to do something lishma?
I believe that lishma, actually, I don't have my own opinion because there are many opinions about it, but if you learn, if you look at the Birchas HaTorah, it says that we should be kuloni yodei shemecha v'lamdei sorasecha lishma. So I believe that learning Torah lishma is clearly linked to Yedias Hashem. It's a very strange thing, yodei shemecha, to know the name of God, right? Everyone knows the name of God. It's either Adokoi or Elokim, right? What does it mean, the name of God? And the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which we don't say. But Yodei Shmecha, obviously, the name of Hashem, as the Maharal says, is a metaphor for the relationship between ourselves and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Yodei Shmecha means to know the relationship. And to learn Lishma is to build that relationship. To sense the divinity and holiness which is intrinsic to the Torah. Now, the Hasidim hold you actually should take out time from not Hasidim, Baal Shem Tov. Nowadays Hasidim are not Hasidim anymore. But once upon a time, the Baal Shem Tov held that you should take out time from learning every few minutes to think about Hashem. Stop every 15 minutes and think about Hashem. And that Rabbi Chaim Volozhin said that's Bittul Torah. Right? Maybe some people have to do it, but not l'chatchila, not preferably. Right? So that was the big issue in the early days. Nowadays, Halavai people should think about Hashem at any time. But so the point is that to learn Lishma means to have in mind and a focus of Yodei Shmecha, and I don't know people who do that. Yeah.
What would you say are the benefits of Talmud study?
Whoa. I don't know if that's a topic for tonight. We can do that. How long are you staying in North America? Okay, I'll give I'll give a short answer. Fine. What? Yeah.
This morning, that Chida you mentioned earlier, he said that if you learn Gemara for 3 hours straight, it's kapara for your Averas.
Yeah, who's going to do that?
So where do they get the straight without making tea breaks?
I don't know. The Gra says if you want, I know, they're holy people, they can make the stuff up. The Gra says if you need to make any decision in life, sit down, learn 2 block Gemara, and then make the decision.
Wow.
It doesn't say. Yeah, just make sure it's the right decision. Do Rashi Taisus. I have to answer because he's leaving with Soy Shabbos.
Oh.
Okay. What's your name?
Rachman.
From where?
University of Virginia.
Oh, okay. You don't have an accent.
From LA.
Oh, okay. So do most people down there have accents?
At the university, there's a little bit of an accent. You go out to the town, there's a serious accent.
Okay. So the Talmud study is very good for some people and somewhat good for most people. Okay? So which one me to start from?
Whatever you think is.
Okay. The somewhat good for most people is that people who are not of high intellectual accomplishment, it's still good for them to learn, say, Daf Yomi, or something like that, by which they'll be able to engage whatever mind they have, which might not be very much, but whatever mind they have in the process of learning, and it's a good use of time besides. Okay, so for them it's good to learn because it's a process of learning, using their mind in a holy way, which is a mitzvah, which is certainly a laudable activity. But they might achieve the same thing by learning Tanakh. They might achieve the same thing by learning Mishnayos. And in the old days, Baal Batim for the most part did not learn Gemara. If they learned Ein Yaakov, which is the Agadatas on Shas, right? And they learned Mishnayos and Chok Yisrael, which is a special learning regimen, day by day, with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So, for most people, there's some benefits in that they challenge whatever mind they have, and nowadays people are more intellectual than they used to be, so it's a good thing. Whatever mind they have in something which is holy, stimulating, intellectual, and a mitzvah besides.
But for it to be challenging, you have to actually challenge themselves, because if I could read the Mishnah and just read the Mishnah,
right,
I wouldn't find it challenging unless I start asking questions.
True. That's why it's always good to be part of a shir or a chavrusa or something. Wait! Now, for the other people, there's some people for whom it's very good. So there are two reasons. One of them is for the people who are going to be the great Torah scholars of the generation. So for them, obviously, the basis is the Gemara, its knowledge, its way of thought, all Jewish law emanates from the Gemara and builds on it to a higher level. So if you're lacking the foundation, you cannot get to the great heights which you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so therefore, learning Talmud is essential in order to become that great scholarly authority of the next generation. But what happens if you're not going to be the great scholarly authority of the great generation, but you're not one of the masses either, you're somewhere in the middle? So for that person, learning Talmud is actually a way in which he can excite himself, because learning Talmud is exciting. And that's how we learn Talmud in a base medrash where people are shouting, as opposed to a library where people are silent. It's made for that. That's why the Talmud is not made in the manner of a cut and dry law book, but as a living dialogue between scholars and between those scholars and us. And that's why we get very excited over a Rashi where we can find in 2 words an entire world of thoughts, because this is mind expanding. It enhances our emunah in Hashem, because if you see the profundity of a Rashi, how much more profound is the Torah itself, and that actually enhances your emunah. That's what Reb Noach Weinberg calls Tam Uru'u Ki Tov Hashem. We said in davening, you taste and you see that God is good, right? The word Tam is also play on words. Tam means to taste, but also means to understand the reasons for things, and that is also what you do in Talmud. So it enhances your emunah, it engages your intellect and expands it in ways which are exciting, thought-provoking, and lively. And also, it obviously has the capacity, if learned correctly, lishma, to actually elevate, refine, and make you more holy.
How does it do the latter?
The way we understand that Torah, which is linked to a sense of learning it for the purpose of Yiras Hashem, which is the purpose of all mitzvahs, Reishis Chacham Yiras Hashem. The beginning of knowledge, meaning the height of knowledge, is the awe of Hashem. So Torah learned the right way gives you that awe. It is an awe-inspiring thing, both intellectually and mystically, because Torah is holy.
What are the disadvantages?
What?
What are the disadvantages?
The disadvantage is that what happens is that if you have a curriculum which is completely Gemara-based, so then you might come out of yeshiva knowing nothing about Judaism.
No,
What else?
no, wait.
That's not enough?
Wait,
Yeah.
the question, let's say you have kids today who are just simply, they're interested in cell phone, texting, Yankees, everything, like, but they'll focus on a bunch of different things, but not Gemara. Everything but not Gemara. Right?
Yeah.
So, is there a way where you get them excited about learning Gemara? We're going to have a ski trip.
And then they're excited about the ski trip. Now they're
No, because
Bring about interesting
That's the reason. The reason why we don't learn the way the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, Chamesh Lemikra, Eser Lemishnah, Chamesh Esrei the Gemara, whatever it is, I forget the exact age, is because we want to generate that excitement, and that way of learning would be intensely boring to most people. So that's why we try to learn Be'iyun as early as possible. Because learning Be'kiyus is somewhat boring. Learning Be'iyun is much more exciting.
So you don't believe in high school kids having you don't believe in having positive activities?
What activities? I might do with education in general, but not with liking Gemara.
So you don't think that
that's an incentive to learn, not so much being excited to learn.
It's an incentive to like your school. Maybe like your school, learn Gemara too.
Oh, so that's not. So you don't. So the incentive to learn, it should be. What should be the incentive to learn?
The excitement.
Excitement.
Yeah, Rev.
How does a cow? Like I can just imagine a kid in high school. To me, it's exciting. A cow goes a cow, but a kid in high school.
Right. That's why most high school kids. That's why our curriculum is really tragic.
So what would you learn?
What a Beis Yaakov teaches.
Science.
A Beis Yaakov curriculum is the ideal curriculum for most boys too.
But we don't get it because
the yeshiva system is not structured for the masses. It's structured for the elite. The fact that it became a mass movement or mass system didn't change. Nobody bothered along the way to change the curriculum from being an institution for the intellectual elite and the few to an institution for the masses for general education. Nobody realized they should change the curriculum.
Everyone else kind of trickles down and gets, I guess,
trickle down, like Reaganomics.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's
I mean, it's only the elite that lasts, and everyone else just gets confused and either goes up the
Well, we hope that, but the logic, the rationale is trickle down. That's what it is.
Wait, but so the kids.
Wait. Let's set some. Yeah.
It seems to me that most people think that we're supposed to learn Gemara all the time. Why do most people think that it's not the case?
Because that is the ruach, the spirit of yeshiva. Since yeshiva, again, our yeshivas are direct descendants of Volozhin, and Volozhin, of course, where they're producing Dolei Torah, so learning Gemara was where it was at, and anything else was regarded as secondary. So that ambiance continues till today. That learning Gemara is considered to be, that's really where it's at, and everything else is on the periphery.
A lot of people will say also that you learn everything else by learning Gemara. Is that true?
No.
A lot of people say that.
I know a lot of people say it, but it's not true. Yeah.
They mention the Gemara, they mention the Chumash, they mention the Mishnah, they mention all sorts of Musar.
They believe in science. How can you believe that?
You can go for 30, 40 blot in Babasa, not encounter a single puzzle. Yeah.
Wait, so in your experience, you've been able to generate more excitement from your own students by teaching Biyun than...
Absolutely. It's hard. Teaching Mikiyas is very difficult. Kids really should learn Mikiyas on their own, b'chevrusa, and it's not. Unfortunately, in the yeshiva high schools in America, that's not so simple to rely on them to do. But it doesn't make the job any easier. It's very tedious. It's tedious for them. See, it's for the Rebbe. It's tedious for them. I'm sorry, Yossi.
Okay.
I apologize.
Does the kids help you learn?
By the way, Yossi, I brought handouts tonight to speak about your topic, and then now say we talk about something else.
I'm sorry. Monday I'll be
Trying to.
Monday,
Rabbi, the kids help you learn.
How
How about the Rambam Chufei the Torah chapter Dalet? He says that and just to prepare the mind to understand.
That's nice for Maimonideans, but yeah, if you want to be a Maimonidean, you'll subscribe to them.
What's the actual way to get closer to Hashem? What's the actual way to?
If I knew how Maimonides did it, I would tell you. But I can't. The Moreh Nevuchim to me is an intensely boring book, so I don't know exactly how the Rambam got his kicks from philosophy. I listened to philosophy and books on tape. I tried to listen to Aristotle once. I told you this. In a book on tape, I almost fell asleep driving. So I had to stop. So I don't know. The Rambam is obviously a very, very special person, and I can't relate to it. What?
Aristotle on tape?
Yeah.
Like, do they just have to have someone read?
Somebody reads it, like a book on tape, yeah.
Do you believe that actually
Maybe it's his
studying
voice.
more the Vahim is more boring than studying Mobian?
Oh, much more boring than studying Torah. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. For me, not for you. For me. For most of us who don't have degrees in philosophy. But I like what I'm listening to now. I'm listening to another philosopher. I told Shabby last night, Henri Bergson. He's very good. When I finish the essay, I'll discuss it. Yeah.
Does Bekis help you learn Gemara in general?
Absolutely, it's essential to learn Bekis. That doesn't make it less boring.
But what happens if you I only have half an hour to learn Gemara? I need to
learning you.
Learning you instead.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
But it's not. Is that okay just to enjoy the learning for half an hour?
You're supposed to learn. You're supposed to enjoy learning. If you don't enjoy learning, according to many sources, you're not learning Lishma.
Oh, but the enjoying it is Lishma. I understand. No, but it's not. I'm not like always thinking about Hashem like when I'm doing it.
If you're enjoying learning it, that's one of the definitions of Lishma. There are many definitions of Lishma. That's one of the definitions of Lishma.
Okay.
If you're not enjoying it, you're not learning Lishma. Even people who have that misconception, spoken about many times. People think that to be Moser Nefesh, to do something you can't stand, is Lishma. That's not true.
That's not one of the definitions.
That's not at all. That's Shalom Lishma. Yeah.
Are you supposed to be, perfect with? You're supposed to actually be working and even though it feels like it's a.
But that's all Shalom Lishma.
Isn't it something? It's not meritorious.
It's meritorious, but it's not where it should be.
So just two small questions outside this topic.
No. So
I've been trying to.
Yeah, he wants a question on the topic. You want on topic, right? Yeah. On topic comes first. Yeah.
It is on topic to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So according to someone told me that Rev Aaron from Lakewood I just heard on Shabbos that he instituted Torah learning lishma like you're learning Torah just for learning Torah not to become a Rebbe.
He didn't institute it.
He didn't institute it.
No. No.
But is that what they're doing though essentially though over there pretty much if people are there enjoying the learning?
Yeah, but it's called Torah lishma, but it's not really Torah lishma. It means it's borrowed terminology.
Oh, really?
They're borrowing a term which really means something else to define this metaphorically.
So what are they
Right. It means that they're not doing it for the purpose of making money or getting a job, right? They're doing it just for learning.
Is that one of the definitions?
No.
So what are they doing then?
They're learning. They could be learning Lishma. You could have people in the base of Lakewood who are learning Lishma, and people learning Shalom Lishma. They call it Torah Lishma metaphorically because it's not done for an ulterior motive.
But according to this whole idea of the Shiva system, really, a lot of these guys really shouldn't be learning for the most part because they're not part of the elite.
For sure.
Really?
Yeah.
You could maybe drop a couple thousand off there, and they should be.
Yeah, but I don't know who's going to make those decisions.
Have a test.
Nobody wants to make those decisions. That's why Dafka Yeshivas Kolim, almost no Kolim has any test, and there's no demand of any productivity.
How come there are no tests?
Because if you were in a graduate school, you'd have to produce essays and theses and things like that. Yeah, but this is not.
That's what I'm gedolim because
we don't do that. What?
That's what I'm gedolim because nobody
knows how to write.
That's right.
That's not
they're not taught how to write. It's not a part of the curriculum.
It's not because of that because you don't study other things. You don't study
other things.
They don't know how to speak.
They don't speak. They don't know how to write. Everybody's functionally illiterate. Yeah.
So is there any idea to learn in order to you learn about Shefty in order to go on Shefty? Is there any idea to that?
Yes, but that when they call something Torah Lishma, that's to include that kind of learning which is practical.
But is that more of the idea to do that practical type of learning?
What?
Is that more of the idea to do that?
Well, one could say that is the highest form of learning because Godel Talmud maybe they Maisa. But if you're doing it to get a job, they look down at it.
So it's like if they want to go and buy how much of livestock and go out and start doing stuff themselves, that'd be okay. As long as not
right.
But because I thought I heard a story about the Chasam Sofer, someone that he stopped someone in the street and it was a butcher or something, and he said, "You're much greater than I because all I did."
Yeah, the Chasam Sofer was not part of the Lithuanian Yeshiva movement. He lived in Hungary, in Pressburg. They were very different.
So he could have said something like that.
What?
He could have said a butcher or something like that.
I haven't told this joke in a long time. Can I tell you this joke? It's a very good joke. I'm sure some of you heard it from me, but I haven't told it in a while. There was once a bacher who was learning in Pressburg, in the yeshiva, the Chasam Sofer Yeshiva, I don't know, whoever who was the Rosh Yeshiva at the time. So, once he was caught walking in the street with a girl.
Like together holding hands or just walking?
No, just walking. So, the Rosh Yeshiva calls him in and says, listen, the Rosh Yeshiva calls him in and says, listen, we can't do these things over here. But I heard there's a yeshiva in Frankfurt where you can go where these things are acceptable. So he goes to the yeshiva in Frankfurt. Reb Shlomo Breuer was the Rosh Yeshiva. And when he's in the yeshiva in Frankfurt, he stayed in somebody else's house, somebody's house. They didn't have dormitories back then. And one day it came out that there was some silver missing, silver spoon, whatever it was, and it turned out that this bacher had stolen the spoon. So Shlomo Breuer calls him over and says, I'm throwing you out. But I'm not throwing you out because you stole the spoon. I'm throwing you out because you obviously will never be a Talmid Chacham. Because had you had any sense of logic whatsoever, you would have stolen the spoon in Pressburg and walked with the girl in Frankfurt. But instead, you walked with the girl in Pressburg, had stolen the spoon in Frankfurt. You're an idiot. You're not going to ever succeed in learning. Yeah. It's a great story. I don't know if it's true, but it's a great story. Yeah.
First question that we mentioned that the previously they had a lot of trouble dating because the girls were much tougher than the guys were, right? But we see in the Hasidic world that's not the way it works. Meaning the model is the same, whereas the girl, they take over circle classes.
The Hasidim have managed to conquer their womanhood in ways which the Lithuanians were not able to do.
What do you mean?
Describe that.
The women in Hasidus are very subservient, and for reasons which I don't understand. I can't understand how Hasidic women can tolerate the lives that they live. It's beyond me.
Ever shave your head?
I can't understand it. It's totally non-intellectual. It's devoid of any meaningful purpose in Avodas Hashem. I know obviously they have something. There must be something which is going for them. I don't know what it is. I guess maybe if once they have a lot of kids, so the kids in themselves become the purpose. But I don't know what. Nice clothing.
They do have a lot.
Now the Vishnitzer don't have nice clothing. That's a very rough Hasidus Vishnitz. Yeah. What? They don't even have the fun stuff.
No.
No.
What's the point then?
What? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Yeah. What?
Shabbos is fun.
Yeah, but they don't have the fancy dressing and the ceremonies and that kind of stuff. So
Second question was my brother.
the tish is like the fun stuff. They don't have that kind of nice tish. Yeah.
My brother mentioned that he saw this even on the internet. I don't know what. There is a church somewhere in Israel where they once every so few years or once every year, I guess in Passover time, there's a candle that ignites with a fire by itself magically, and they claim that ghosts come something. I don't know.
Who cares?
My brother cares.
Why?
He says it's a proof that God exists and that there.
It doesn't prove anything. Miracles don't prove anything.
But how does it happen every year?
I don't know what happens.
Some random dude.
The Rambam says explicitly, and there obviously is just a variation on the theme from Chazal. Miracles don't mean anything.
But how do you explain that event?
I don't have to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. No, I don't think it actually happened. But even if it does, so what? It's a miracle. Whoop-de-doo. We don't believe miracles. That's because that's what's Christianity. Catholicism bases its entirety on miracles. We don't care about miracles. You can do a miracle. I can do a miracle. That doesn't prove anything. We can believe Lubavitcher Rebbe did many, many miracles, and I do. Does that mean I have to become a Lubavitcher?
You don't have to be, but you want to be. It's okay.
You don't have to.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting experience being a Baal Tshuva because he comes to this world of this whole new ideology that you've never really experienced before. You're not sure what's what.
Don't give in.
Well, that's a good question. And everything is sort of presented as the orthodoxy. So we don't question this. If you don't understand it, you're not on the level, or you're not there.
In Samech, they don't do that.
It's not, but there's always some of this sentiment. But I know that some things are, at least one thing's been in the years. I read Das Torah. A Gedolim can give advice for anything in your affairs in life, in politics, whatever. And that's the advice.
The term Das Torah is used as a weapon.
So I'm just curious about that.
You
I also want to know.
You should just avoid. It means nothing.
What else do I encounter that is part of the large world, but is actually relatively new ideology?
What?
What else?
I don't know. I can't make you a list.
Yeah. Okay.
If you come up with a list, I'll tell you what's new and what's not. But I can't make a list. Not that well organized. Because if somebody wants to get their point across, they say, "I represent that Torah." Na 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 na. It's like a conversation stopper.
If you go to Rabbi
So it's on a higher level.
What?
You don't understand him because he's on a higher level.
That's what he's claiming, right?
Yeah.
I know better than you.
No, but if you go to him for advice and then he gives you an advice, that's that
But
story.
Shlomo Zalman Auerbach would not tell somebody, "I'm giving you das Torah." He'd say, "I'm giving you advice or a psak."
But you should understand that's that story. Obviously, nobody.
That's for you to understand, not for him to say.
Okay, but if you said that and I understood it's that story, then I should follow it. No?
It's reasonable for you to follow it, yes. But the way it's used nowadays, the way it's used nowadays is as a weapon. Usually it's as a weapon.
Any Gedolim say I'm giving you that story.
You go look, and I know, I know that's the point.
I never heard anyone.
That's the point. It's usually on posters which are protesting something or other. Yeah.
But we know. I just want to know what it's going to kind of turn back. But Nevada, why did it die out? People said it died out.
The Second World War killed everything.
Oh, but besides that, someone said like it was even dying out before. Like,
No, not true. Nevada was thriving before the Second World War. Absolutely. Yes.
I think. Can you actually give talk or think about any Ashkafic issue and something you have to follow because that is.
So Shlomo Zalman told me that if it was a psak, they have to go to college. I didn't like it, but once he said it was
that's not a Ashkafic issue because.
Why it's not a Ashkafic issue?
I wasn't allowed no Yunus and other things. We have
That's not why he said I should go.
What?
It's not why he said I have to go. It's not why he said I have to go.
So why did you say?
Not to fight my parents. It says in Shulchan Aruch you can fight your parents about things like this.
Really?
That's a fact. It's not a Ashkafic thing.
What? Okay, so then we're coming into an issue, very broad issue of semantics here. What exactly is Ashkafa and what's not Ashkafa?
The Rabbi Shlomo say that anybody who doesn't believe in the Zohar cannot be in a Beis Din as a Dayan.
Who?
Rabbi Shlomo, somebody took Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach said that if
I don't believe he said that. It's totally out of character.
I don't think he really saying that.
No. That's not the type of statement he would ever make.
Rabbi Shach said it had an opportunity once where the Israeli government would cover 100% tuition of yeshivas, and he turned down that deal because he felt he said only up to 50% because he had a Masorah from Havetz Chaim that the other 50% should come from the Jewish Qual.
I don't believe the story.
It's what?
Rav Shach was never in charge of the finances in Panovich.
No. They had a meeting with Ben Gurion. And Ben said, I will lobby 100%.
Never heard that before.
He says no, only up to 50.
I don't believe it.
I'll bring you the book.
Most yeshivas say you get 100%, they take 100%. I don't believe it. Okay. But I don't want it. He showed me a book. It doesn't make it true.
The guy who like 30 years of his life writes the book.
What book is it?
And the
So what?
Steps of the Gedolim or something? I don't know.
Oh, I know that book. If you want to turn off the camera, I'll tell you.